Hello, and welcome in to Tech in 10 from the Ruston Daily Leader. I am sports reporter Matt Belinson coming to you live from Joy Stadium. After Louisiana Tech's 51 to 21 blowout win over Northwestern State. Lot to get to here tonight on Tech in 10. Want to first thank our sponsor, the Northern Louisiana Medical Center. Thanks to them for sponsoring this video series throughout the season. Really appreciate that. But yeah, just a dominant performance from Louisiana Tech. I said it post game after SMU that I feel like it just needed to be flushed away. It didn't matter for your overall conference, kind of outlook, and certainly tonight doesn't either. Just in terms of the win, but certainly if you're Louisiana Tech, just based on how the loss to SMU went, to come back here at home, put up 51 points, over 350 yards rushing on the ground. Just a real dominant performance from Louisiana Tech on both sides of the ball. Three interceptions for Louisiana Tech's defense, a couple sacks. It was just the kind of get right game that this team needed, just given how poorly that SMU game went. So definitely a lot to get into. We're going to first start with the run game. I mean, that was clearly, just the breakout, kind of the headline grabber, here tonight. Keith Willis, true freshman running back, 13 carries, 188 yards, 2 touchdowns. Again, as a true freshman, a lot's been made obviously about the injuries that Louisiana Tech's been facing. Marquise Crosby out, Tyree Shelton was out up until tonight, first game back, looked pretty good. But Keith Willis has been kind of thrust into a role that, frankly, this coaching staff, they've admitted. Just based on the depth chart, he probably wasn't going to get a whole lot of carries just coming into this season. And obviously he's taken advantage of his opportunity. Again, the first 2 games of the year, the run game, it was pretty poor. Wasn't a whole lot going on. 114 combined, close to 140 yards combined through 2 games. Not a whole lot to speak of, on the ground. And then Keith comes out here tonight. Again, it's an FCS opponent, so I'm not going to make any grand conclusions or anything like that. But certainly a super impressive performance from Keith. As a true freshman and a very limited carry amount, 13 carries, 188 yards. You definitely take that average if you're Louisiana Tech. So he looked really impressive. Great physicality. His 68-yard run. If you haven't seen the clip, just a vicious stiff arm that just got the whole place going. He pretty much put the game away. Put Tech up 20 points. It was just a dominant performance from him. Again, as a true freshman, I think it's really important in a season like this where you brought in so many veterans, transfer portal wise, that, frankly, that's how you're going to have to continue to build this roster. But I think it's really important for Louisiana Tech to say, we have a foundational piece here for sure in Keith Willis. And, frankly, for the rest of this year, depending on Marquise Crosby's health, who knows the next time we're going to see him. Tyree Shelton was, back tonight, thankfully. And Jarvis Thornton, had some pretty good carries as well. And Jacob Fields, was out tonight. So Louisiana Tech needed Keith Willis to step up, and it's going to need him to step up the rest of the season if they want to keep this ground game, as a real threat. So I thought it was really encouraging to see a true freshman kind of step up in that way. And again, it's going to be really interesting to see, against North Texas, this coming week, and then Nebraska the week after, to see if he can continue that. I was really impressed again with Tyree. Shelton, first game of the season after being injured, the first 2 weeks. 5 carries, 62 yards. Again, pretty limited workload. Obviously, just wanted to get, his feet under him. Took his second, carry of the season, 41 yards to the house to get the scoring started. So definitely he had no rust, at least tonight, on his 5 carries. So it was certainly impressive for him to see that. And I think going forward, again, if you can get a healthy running back group back together, I think Louisiana Tech's going to feel a lot better about where this offense can go. The passing game tonight wasn't the greatest. Hank 9 of 18, 110 yards and a touchdown, solid. You would have liked to see more completions out of him. He definitely missed some balls, kind of near the red zone, a little bit high. But I think overall, pretty solid. Again, I think when you're rushing for 357 yards, I don't think you need to ask Hank Bachmeier to do too much. Again, certainly some passes he left out there, but, I thought in general, pretty solid night for him. It's a pretty quiet night for Smoke Harris, just given his first 2 weeks. But Kobe Duru, a transfer, again, a lot of transfers on this team. A transfer wide receiver, came in through the portal, and he even talked about post-game. He had a pretty good connection with Hank, in near high school, and then obviously, kind of as they, went their separate ways to start their college careers. And Kobe said that Hank brought him here. He recruited him in the transfer portal to come here to Louisiana Tech, and Kobe's got 2 straight games with a touchdown. So clearly that connection is there, and clearly when teams are going to start to game plan more for Smoke Harris and want to take him out of the games, I think Tech has already established with Kyle Maxwell and Kobe Duru. I think there's 2 guys right there that you feel pretty confident with if you're Hank Bachmeier in this offense. So it was encouraging as well. Again, just offensively, I think in general, I think tonight you just wanted to see them put up a ton of points, look strong, explosive plays. And it was really the first time we saw Hank Bachmeier, really test, DBs downfield. He's a couple of nice explosive plays for the first 2 games, but first game, that first touchdown to Smoke Harris, Smoke did pretty much most of the work. It was a nice 15-yard slant, but from that it was pretty much Smoke all the way. And then again against SMU, Kobe's catch, it was a 57-yard catch and run. So we really hadn't seen Hank challenge a whole lot of DBs downfield. Tonight, a nice 40-yard or so, catch to Kyle Maxwell. Some other nice, pass attempts that again fell incomplete, but I thought put the ball where it needed to be. I was really impressed. Again, the first time we truly saw him, test defenders downfield. I think it's going to be encouraging to see as this run game starts to get healthier. You can set up some more passes. It's going to be interesting to see if Hank can keep that production up and maybe get, start to get, build some 250-yard games and stuff like that, and then add on the run game. I think this team is still at its best when it's passing pretty effectively. But again, tonight, against Northwestern State at a talent deficit, I think it was, just kind of a night where, Sonny Cummey even said it. They kept getting pretty much the same look from Northwestern State, and they were, like, okay, I guess we'll just keep running with, Keith Willis and Tyree here. So certainly 357 yards on the ground, it certainly proved to be effective. So no complaints on my end. Before I let you go here, I think defensively, again, tough game against SMU. Preston Stone really challenged the defensive backs. A lot of holding calls, were made against SMU. And the defensive backs came out here tonight really solid. 3 interceptions. Cedric Woods, Jamal Shelby, and Willie Roberts as well. Just a really solid night. Cedric Woods with the pick 6. Just a really great performance out of the defensive back room. Creating some turnovers, getting this offense in some short yardage, and really just getting the energy up. I felt like the defense for the first 2 games, even though the pressure was kind of there, there wasn't really a whole lot of numbers and really kind of explosiveness. Again, there's that word again. To match it. Again tonight, Cedric Woods, 49-yard pick 6. A couple sacks. I thought Michael Clark and Rayson Williams. Just really great performances out of them tonight. Crashing in the backfield. Both of those guys with a couple tackles for loss and a sack as well. And again, the defensive backs, Miles Hurd. 15 tackles. Michael Richard, a true freshman coming out here, second career start. 3 pass breakups. That I feel like is a very underrated aspect of this team so far. And again, I already mentioned it with Keith, but as a young guy, to come out here, second career start, at home, first start at home, and you come out here, challenge on a 4th down play, a great pass breakup, 3 pass breakups in total. I just thought that he just looked solid. And again, I think as this season continues to go on, I think that's what you want to see the more and more out of Louisiana Tech is what do we have going forward that we can really build this. If Louisiana Tech is going to improve by season's end, if they're going to be in bowl game contention, possibly contending for Conference USA, it's certainly great to see some of these transfers produce. But frankly, obviously, you're going to have to replace them, and you're going to have guys step up into these voids next year. So I think it's really great to see so far in the early goings of the season that some of these freshmen are hitting the ground running. They're not wasting any time in terms of development. And again, I thought Michael and Keith, just really great performances tonight. I think maybe set up some future development, and they could even be better. Just given full-time starting roles. I think that's a really encouraging sign to see if you're Louisiana Tech tonight. So. Again, in general, really great performance to bounce back after SMU. Louisiana Tech is now 2-1. This is pretty much exactly how I predicted it to go. Through the first 3 weeks of the year. I think if you can come back home next weekend, take one from North Texas. Who North Texas just lost a game to FIU tonight. North Texas is 0-2 now, so that's a winnable game. And if you're Louisiana Tech, you start the year 3-1, going to Nebraska, who certainly looks beatable. You have to feel pretty good about where you're at. So Again, just a really solid performance from Louisiana Tech tonight. Again, 51-21 win for the Bulldogs here at Joy Stadium. Again, the Bulldogs will be back at home next week against North Texas. I expect this place to be even more packed. Again, the students being back here tonight, I thought really helped too. About 19,000 people in the stands. It was just a great night for Louisiana Tech. I think again, I can't stress enough. As someone that was there at that SMU game, it was just a dead press box. It was dead energy. It was just not a lot happening. I think you come back here tonight, you just put points on the board. Both sides of the ball are playing really well. I just think it's exactly what Louisiana Tech needed. So, again, it will be interesting to see if it can continue next week against North Texas, and then you go on the road, to Nebraska, and then, who knows what happens there. So, again, really solid night from Louisiana Tech. That's going to do it for me for the Ruston Day the Leader. I am sports reporter Matt Belinson. Thank you all for listening. Have a good one.